Fantastic. So I can see we are just starting to get everybody come and join us in the room. Thank you so much for joining us today during the session. Before we start, and whilst we're waiting for a couple of people to filter through, I just wanted to promote Enactus UK and ask, if you aren't following us, then please do follow us on our social media channels. It's the best way to find out all about exclusive events that we're running, just like this event with BIC. Like, there's lots of different things that you can get involved in over the year. So I really would recommend, if you aren't following us already, definitely check us out on whichever platform that you use the most. With our YouTube channel as well, we'll also be recording this video and uploading it onto the YouTube channel. So please do subscribe. It will happen in the next couple of weeks when we've had a little bit of chance to catch our breath after the Employability Fair. So please do check that out, and we'll also be uploading some of the other sessions on there. So I'm just gonna, hopefully, if you aren't already joined us, please do join us on the Enactus UK website. We would absolutely love to see you, because this is the only way that you can get exclusive access to our fast track opportunities, but also to our mentoring. So we work with over 230 business coaches from BIC, from our other partner organisations, and it gets a really good insight for you guys to understand how you can get ahead in your career. You can speak to the experts. You can really help you develop, not only like personally but professionally, and a fantastic opportunity to really build your network whilst you're a student. If you are really unsure about what Enactus is, hopefully I'll be able to explain it very quickly. But if you do join us via that join link that I've just sent before, we will be going to offer you next week a bit more of a deep dive into what Enactus is, and we'll take that time, that full hour, to explain. However, I know you're not here to see me today, so we'll just try and do a whistle-stop tour. So Enactus UK is the leading combined youth social action and youth social enterprise charity, which develops thousands of young entrepreneurial spirits every year. And what this means in practice is that we aim to be the bridge between the world of work and the world of higher education. So equipping you as a student with those skills that you might not necessarily get from your degree, but you will need when you enter the world of work. So how we do that is we support student teams in our 66 universities across the UK to develop student-led social enterprises, which really benefit their local community. And these projects, or social enterprises, address one or more of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. But what makes Enactus that little bit different is the mentoring that I mentioned earlier. So we work with over 17 of the UK's biggest graduate recruiters, but also some of the biggest brands in the UK. And that insight and that industry awareness can really set you apart as a student, because Enactus students are 50 times more likely than the average graduate to be successful in getting that graduate job with one of our partners. So really big stats to throw out there, but just shows how important being an Enactus student is, which is why I do encourage you to register. If you're already part of your Enactus team at university, we still need you to register to be part of the network, because that's the only way that we can officially recognise you as an Enactus student. But if you aren't connected, we will be able to connect you once you've popped in your email address. But I can see a lot of familiar names on the call, so great to see you, and encourage you, if you haven't signed up, then you definitely need to, because I know most of you are Enactus students. But like I said, I know you're not here to chat to me, so I will pass over to Claudia and the team to introduce the session for the day. And I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm about to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
Perfect.
All good. So hi everybody, I'm Claudia. I head up the BIC UK and Ireland and Enactus UK partnership here for us. And today we'll talk to you a little bit about us, the BIC Corporate Foundation, which is a huge part of the BIC UK and Enactus partnership. We'll talk to you about how the partnership works, and also you'll hear from our Enactus employees, Laura and Ned, who will share with you their experience with Enactus and how it really helped them get the opportunity with BIC. And at the end of the session, we'll also run a Q&A. Feel free to pop your questions in the chat throughout. So a little bit about BIC. It all started with a vision and a pen. So in 1944, Marcel BIC and Edouard Buffard have put together the BIC company. They bought a 300 square meter workshop and began to manufacture writing instruments. In December 1950, the BIC Crystal iconic pen has been launched in France. It's recognized for its high quality and affordable price. And what's really interesting is that to this day, BIC is still owned by the BIC family, currently led by Gonzalve. And this is just a bit of our history at glance. So like I said, it all started with Marcel BIC developing the iconic BIC Crystal in 1950. A few years later, we have started to expand internationally, so in Europe, Latin America, Africa, and also North America. Then we have expanded to our BIC graphic plant, which essentially, when you go to a museum and you see a BIC pen with the museum branding on it, this would have been produced by BIC Graphic. Then we introduced our BIC lighter to the market in 1973, and the first shaver a couple of years later. Throughout the next few years, we have continued to expand our product range. So on this slide, you may well recognize the Tipex logo, which is the leading correction brand in the market. We have also expanded our lighter portfolio to utility lighters, which can be used for lighting candles or barbecues, and also continue to expand our shavers portfolio. And then more recently, we have also continued to expand our product portfolio, but also since 2009, we have really focused on sustainability aspects, which I will expand on a little bit later on. But the key things here are the NF label, which is an environmental label accredited to products in France, partnership with TerraCycle, and Ubiquity, which focuses on circular economy model, which I'll expand on and tell you a little bit more detail about later on. In 2020, we have also acquired additional brands to the BIC portfolio, the Jeep lighters to strengthen position in the market, and also a company called Rocketbook, which focuses on notebooks within the digital writing market, which is very exciting for us. So overall, our mission and purpose is to offer high quality, inventive and reliable products and solutions which are respectful to our environment, and we create long-term value to all of our stakeholders, with commitment to improve equality in education for all by enhancing learning conditions for students globally, and a powerful way to build a sustainable future for everybody. Like I said earlier, we are a global company with absolutely amazing presence across all of the categories that we play in. So we've got writing instruments, we are the #1 brand across the globe, lighters, and also a challenger global brand in shavers. We have 26 BIC owned factories, which enables us to control the production process, which not many writing instrument brands can say. And then our brands are also known for the quality and reliability of products, all sitting under the BIC umbrella. So like I said earlier, sustainable development is absolutely key for BIC. Already we have made significant improvements to the process. So sustainability covers many areas. It's not just about the end product that you see, but the whole process of production. So in 2018, 68% of electricity used by BIC Group worldwide came from renewable energy sources. We have identified strategic suppliers to make sure that we cover all the opportunities on environmental, social and regulatory aspects. And we've also improved the learning conditions of over 15 million children globally. We have a 4R philosophy, which is inspired by the circular economy. So we strive to reduce our raw material consumption and produce light and long-lasting products. We look to reuse and refill, so making reusable products or refillable, and then use recycled or alternative materials to replace virgin plastics, and also make sure our products and packs are fully recyclable. So we actually partnered up with TerraCycle, which is an exclusive partnership with BIC. We are the only writing instruments brand that work with TerraCycle, which means that we provide recycled bins across different retailers that everybody can come in and drop all of the writing instruments into, for them to then be processed or recycled into a different product. Which brings me on to an initiative called Ubiquity, which also works on the back of TerraCycle. So our recycling branch coming from pens, 33 million writing instruments have been collected in Europe since 2011. And the first product we've made from the recycled pens was a garden bench with 100% materials, including 40% coming from pens. So Ubiquity is all about reusing our product and giving them a second life. We also have very certain commitments to sustainable development by 2025, covering all aspects of the different sustainable goals. So number one, fostering sustainable innovation in BIC products. Number two, acting against climate change by using the renewable energy sources, and then committing to a safe work environment, proactively involving suppliers and improving lives through education, which Enactus is very much a part of in helping us achieve that goal. So in terms of reducing the impact of our products, again, it's not just about the process. Looking at individual products, as an example, the BIC Crystal pen is a long-lasting product. It can write for up to 3 kilometers, which is longer than some of the other brands or different pens. But it's the same with the lighter. So you can light a BIC Maxi lighter for up to 3,000 flames, 60 days of shaving with the BIC Easy and hybrid products, as well as having the eco label on across a variety of our portfolio. We also want to reduce the impact of our products and packaging. So by 2025, 20% of non-virgin petroleum products will be produced and 50% of non-virgin by 2030. And then for packaging, by 2025, we want to make sure that we have 100% reusable, recyclable or compostable packaging made from recycled or certified cardboard and PVC-free plastics, and 75% recycled content in all plastic packaging as well. So all in all, we do strive to limit our impact on the planet, and we believe that our mission is to provide responsible and affordable products to everybody. And you can find out more about our sustainability initiatives on our website. So moving on to the BIC Corporate Foundation, it is a huge part of the BIC and Enactus partnership. So just to give you an overview, the mission of the Corporate Foundation is to provide quality education for all. And we very much focus on the development of creative skills. The reason for that is that today's education system is based on hard skill learning, memorizing, and also very one-sided teacher-learner relationship. which isn't suited to prepare school children for the world of tomorrow. We know that innovation and creativity are skills that are needed in all aspects of education. The world has moved forward, so the education system needs to move forward as well. And we know that creativity builds resilience, inspires freedom, and also inspires us to drive change. So creativity is a very broad aspect. It shows itself in many different forms, and our focus areas are art, body expression, entrepreneurship, music, spoken word, and creative writing. So all of these key focus areas have the ability to express creativity and help us move the world forward. Within Big Corporate Foundation, our projects have global reach. So we do partner up with loads of different projects across the world. In the UK and Ireland, we obviously have a partnership with Enactus UK. But we also fund innovative programs across the world. Here are just a couple of examples of the programs that we do support. One of them is in France, focused around daycare workshops and with focus on the artistic expression and improving skills to build creativity. And also another one based in India, which is very much based on entrepreneurship training, hands-on business management and personal development. So very exciting initiatives here. We receive funds from the BIC group to then find and fund the non-for-profit organisation across the world to help provide quality education for all. And we also add purpose through volunteering. So we do reach out to the BIC team members to open up opportunities of volunteering. And I guess Enactus partnership in the UK shows this in form of the mentorship programs that we offer and also the coaching programs that we offer. And we also bridge business and the non-profit sector through partnering with purposeful marketing campaigns, fundraising, as well as limited edition collections. So this is just an example of a collection that was produced to celebrate young girls and women in France. And actually those 10 designs were designed by the young women participating in the program. So this is us, this is BIC Corporate Foundation. I hope this has given you a good introduction to BIC as BIC company and also our initiatives in education programs. Now I will introduce the Enactus and BIC partnership itself. So the partnership has begun in 1998. Throughout the years, BIC teams have sponsored different events, we've judged competitions, we've mentored students and supported different student businesses and more. And as of recently, our leader, Gonzalo Bic, has joined Enactus as a global chair, which means that it's become even more of a priority for the business and even more of a focus. The Enactus projects align with our commitment for writing the future together and contribute very much to our goal of improving the learning conditions for children globally. From the BIC UK and Ireland perspective, we've been in the partnership with Enactus for 3 years, so from October 2018 up until now. We have mentor teams comprised of pretty much the whole BIC UK and Ireland team. Everybody's involved in one way or another. So we have mentor programs for winners of the competition. We have coaches who provide one-on-one coaching sessions throughout the year, as well as supporting various events like this one today. And also in a couple of weeks, we are hosting a roundtable event, which will be a great opportunity for everybody to join and learn about how creativity shows itself in professional world and how it's helped our BIC leaders throughout day-to-day jobs. We also have 3 Enactus employees, so people who were previously Enactus students are now employed with BIC, and I will hand over shortly to Laura and Ned, who will talk you through their experiences with Enactus and how it's helped them gain the opportunities with BIC. But before I do that, I just wanted to touch on a very important subject today, how you could get opportunities with BIC. So we do encourage dynamic and forward-thinking individuals to apply for our talent pool. We work slightly different to some of the companies that you may have heard of from in the last 3 days. We don't have a set graduate program in place, but we do recruit graduates and those involved in Enactus. So there are a couple of things you can do. You can apply to our talent pool within the link, which will enable you to share your details with us and then get notifications of any opportunities. So you will be included in those. And we recruit in Europe in more than 16 countries, offering great opportunities across the globe. And you can also find out more about working for BIC, things you need to know, our core values at careers at BIC. But also importantly, as you are joining Enactus or you're already involved, there is an alumni program as well as the job board, which both Ned and Laura have used to gain the opportunities with BIC. So I'll hand over to Laura now, who will talk you through her experiences with Enactus and BIC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia. So I'm Laura and I am currently working at BIC as a junior product manager. But I just want to quickly touch on my experience with Enactus and how it's helped my career so far. So I joined Enactus in 2016. This was my first year of university, so it was all very new to me. And I was at university to study marketing, but I hadn't had any marketing or really business experience before I'd even got to university. So when I saw Enactus advertised at our society fair during Freshers Week, I was really intrigued to join it. And I think the entrepreneurial side of things was something that definitely attracted me to the society, to sort of develop my skills a little bit more. So my responsibility. So I started off just as a society member, and then I applied for the committee role as the marketing and recruitment manager. And then I acquired that. So after that, pretty much all of my Enactus experience was throughout that year was leading the marketing team. So Enactus Plymouth, some of you might know, is quite a small team. It was at the time. So we wanted to raise a bit of awareness about it locally. So starting off on campus and with other students, but also with local businesses around the area. And then obviously the aim would be to go a bit bigger after that. So yeah, leading the marketing team was most of my role. And then with that, I noticed that our communication side of things wasn't that strong at the time. So I wanted to get a little bit more of a presence online. And this is when I started up our Facebook page. So we started posting this a bit more and gradually got a little bit more interaction online. And eventually, once we were going to different events, we could go to different students or businesses and say, go to our Facebook page, which previously didn't really exist. So managing the sort of social media platforms for Enactus Plymouth was something that I took on. With the role, I started organising fundraising and network events, which was definitely my favourite part of my Enactus time. So obviously with the projects, we needed to raise funds to sort of implement what we wanted to do. So we had various fundraising events, from a simple thing like a bake sale, which I'm sure many of you have done yourselves, all the way to sort of networking events with local businesses or a pub quiz, which was one of my favourites. And then with that comes working closely with the project leaders. So despite not being on a project myself, I was working closely with the different teams to sort of provide relevant marketing support for their projects, understand what they might have coming up. Maybe they need to get some funds for something that they want to do. So yeah, just working closely with them. So I think some key skills that I acquired from my time during Enactus was, firstly, leadership. I hadn't really experienced leading a team previously. I came straight from school, so just finished A-levels, so it's all very new to me. Organisation. Naturally, I am not an organised person at all, so I really had to try hard at keeping on top of various aspects with Enactus, which also helped me with university. So I found that for me, I need to have lots of notes, so phone reminders, and make sure everything's in my calendar. I also love a post-it note, but it took me a little while to understand what I needed to do to help me be organised. So if that's something you can sort of take away from this, is definitely find what works for you when it comes to being organised. Social media marketing, again, very basic level of social media marketing, but it was just sort of understanding what resonated with students. And again, fundraising and event planning, I hadn't done this previously. It was lots of fun, and yeah, just learning to sort of manage my time and ensure there was a good schedule for the different events. And finally, relationship building. So obviously, I think with any kind of businessy role or any society, you're working in teams, you're learning to work with different personalities, different skill sets. So relationship building was definitely something that I learned a lot of, especially when I reached out to local businesses. Felt a little bit daunting at first, but once you get on the roll with that, you feel quite comfortable. So I've got some pictures there as well of my Enactus time. And then fast forward to 2019. So this was when I was graduating, and about a month before I was to leave university, I had a slight panic and I thought, I need to start applying for some jobs. I don't really want to go back to my home on the Isle of Wight. There's not much to do there. So I started applying to various different roles. I had I think probably around over 50 different applications. It is quite time consuming, can be quite demoralizing sometimes. But it wasn't until I had an Enactus Alumni email come through that I saw the job posting for BIC. So I straight away obviously looked at the job spec, looked into a little bit more about BIC, and once I'd applied from that, it was quite a quick process after that. So I had an initial interview on the phone. I was then invited to the office where I am today for a face-to-face interview, and then I had another phone interview afterwards. And that's how I basically got my role. So it was through the fact that I'd been with Enactus and I'd received the Enactus Alumni email that I then found out about the role and secured my job that I am now in. So definitely Enactus obviously has benefited me in the sense that I've managed to secure a role through it. But just touching quickly on my role currently. So I'm now junior product manager. I started out as a marketing executive, so more recently junior product manager. And as a very top level overview, I'm basically building brand awareness for our various products. We've got shavers, lighters and stationery, with online and offline activity, so digital banners, printed leaflets, managing the creation and execution of in-store displays. So basically for stationery, any displays you see in store in the UK is what I work with an agency to build. And then new product development for our shaver and lighter portfolio. So predominantly moving from, is more expansion of products rather than new product development. So for example, from plastic bags to cardboard boxes. So that's a little touch on my role now. But in terms of how exactly Enactus has benefited my role and how you can use it in your career, I think the main thing or the key thing for me was you get access to a lot more information and a lot more job roles once you've been an Enactus alumni. I obviously got my role through the Enactus alumni email. I wouldn't have otherwise seen the posting, and I got a first sort of a quicker insight into the role. Otherwise it would have been probably a bit later on that I would ever see it online. It's a great discussion point for interviews. So I think one thing is sometimes knowing how to communicate your learnings in an interview. For me, what I found works well is talking about your experience, but also talking about the outcome and the results. So something for me was the pub quiz that we hosted. It was something to raise money and also awareness of Enactus Plymouth, and it worked out that it was very successful. We raised enough money to do it again, and it's now an annual pub quiz. So it wasn't just what I've done, but also what impact that's had. Even if it's not something that you've not achieved something, or maybe something didn't work, it's great to speak about that and talk about how you've learned from that. So definitely sort of talk about what you've done, but also what was the outcome. It goes without saying, but utilising the skills that I've learned through Enactus is something that's definitely benefited my career. So without Enactus, I would have gone into my placement year as well, without any business kind of mindset, no organisational skills, no event planning background. And once I'd had that, I utilised it for my placement year, and now I can utilise it for my role at BIC. So I think there's endless amounts of skills you can learn from Enactus, be it just getting a bit of confidence, talking to people. And then finally, so Enactus is obviously still influencing me in my role, even though I'm not officially in the society. With BIC, as they partner, as they've got the corporate foundation, BIC are partnered with Enactus UK, and we now offer mentoring and coaching for various Enactus teams. So I'm now a mentor and a coach. So this is something that I'm developing my own sort of skills outside of my role. At my level, I'm not a people manager, so it's something that I could hopefully utilise when I want to take that next step into another level of my career. I think something that I would like to recommend to you all, and a tip that I think you should all take away is, if you've not already, is make sure you write down and keep track of all your sort of experiences that you've done at Enactus. I think it's so easy to get to your CV writing and then suddenly think, I can't remember what I've done, even though you've got a lot of experience you might not remember at the time. And even if it's like small wins, it's something to make sure you just keep a note of it, and then it's so much easier when you come to talking about it in interviews or in your CV. So yeah, keep track of everything you're doing. And that's basically an overview from me. So I'll pass you over to Ned.
Hello, yeah, I'm Ned. I am working at BIC. I've been at BIC for 9 months now, and before that I was at University of Nottingham in their Enactus team. So yeah, I started off in the local innovation team in my second year of university, and it was essentially coming up with new business ideas and trying to get a new social enterprise off the ground. It was a pretty, I think for me, it was a good place to start because it gave us a kind of holistic idea of what Enactus was, as well as giving us a bit of a different experience rather than being in kind of established team. So I got to kind of experience with developing new businesses, marketing strategies, but for various different ideas as well. It was a really great experience. And but again, the thing I'd like to echo what Laura said, a big part of what Enactus isn't the things you do, it's the skills you kind of take away from it. And that's what's going to kind of help you guys the most moving forward. And so yeah, I've listed a couple of the kind of the key skills that I acquired there. Namely, really time management. It was a big one for me. I wasn't the best at it beforehand, but I think you're kind of jumping in the deep end with Enactus, because if you do stuff outside of uni as well, you have kind of you have to balance your uni career with Enactus and then whatever you can salvage of a social life as well. But no, I'm kidding. Socially, it is one of the best things I did at uni as well. All my best friends are there as well. So yeah, but no. So then I moved from the innovation team into one of the exec positions. So I became the local portfolio director, or one of the two. I was managing 3 of our kind of businesses, and it was really great. I had like I said, three of the local teams, and my kind of role was to manage that relationship between the team members, the team leaders, and then also the rest of the exec team. I kind of had to pretty quickly learn how to use effective communication, because you know, these meetings that if you're having them every week, they can go on and take up quite a lot of time. And when you're also doing the rest of your Enactus work, it can, as well as uni work, it can really, you know, it can take a toll. So yeah, effective communication was really one of the main key things for that role. And at the same time, I was doing, I'd applied for the presentation team. So I was kind of like writing a script, learning how to present, and all of the fun things that come with that. But yes, so that was great. And then another part of it, which was kind of an overlooked part when applying, was the supporting team members, especially with the world that we're kind of moving towards, where kind of safeguarding is a massive thing, and kind of diversity and inclusion is a huge, I mean, it's an issue that lots of companies are facing, and you know, Enactus is it's equally as important to ensure that you can kind of have those conversations and ensure that everyone feels like that it's a safe working environment. So yeah, I think some of the kind of key skills I took away here were definitely the effective communication, but as well as, yeah, things like empathy and support skills. It was massively important to kind of stress that people were feeling like that it was a safe environment. It's a high stress environment. You're doing a lot of work, and yeah, sometimes you need to like kind of check up on everyone. So I had a bit of a different route to market than Laura. I decided after 3 years of university that it wasn't for me, and made the bold, but also at the time I thought potentially stupid idea to drop out. So I left uni with 1 year remaining, and kind of just had a plan to apply to as many jobs as possible, and it started off great. I was applying to, you know, doing the classic thing of doing loads of applications every day, every week, and kind of month by month, I started to kind of, especially whilst there was a pandemic, I started to think that maybe it wasn't the best idea to have left. But alas, I, for some reason, hadn't had the idea to look through the Enactus job board. I'd only been applying through things like, you know, the regular kind of big companies, and then Indeed and things like that. And I was kind of sat in my living room one day, and my girlfriend had got an email from the Enactus job board for a graduate job at BIC, and I applied, and you know, and the rest was history. So I was quite thankful for that, because it was definitely a tough kind of few months. But within the application phase, there's a few things that I'd kind of say are massively important for you guys to kind of consider. So one of the main things is think about who you're pitching to. If it's an Enactus kind of, for example, if you're applying to BIC, you know that we know what Enactus is. You've probably applied through the Enactus link, so you don't need to spend time in your interview explaining what Enactus is. And if one of the interviewers isn't sure, they'll ask you. So in that case, kind of just mention that you did Enactus, and then go into the kind of the key things. And this is another thing I wanted to mention, that when you're speaking about Enactus, we all know, the people who have done Enactus know that it's a grind, and you do a lot of different things every day, and every day is different to the last. But the employers don't need to know that. What the employers need to know is what you've taken from Enactus that makes you valuable to them. And that's the best way that you can kind of market yourself to employers. It's making sure that they kind of see the value of Enactus within you, and that's what I meant about the skill, like taking the skills away. It's not about, I don't know, going to, you know, do X, Y, and Z and coming and like that you did for your team. It's about what did you take from that, and what makes you valuable to the company you're applying to. Now that being said, if you're applying to a company that isn't in the Enactus kind of partnership portfolio, you'd want to create kind of a brief elevator pitch, almost like a 30-second, 1-minute pitch about what Enactus is, because you want them to know what you've been doing and you want them to have the context, but you don't want to spend 5-6 minutes boring them about, you know, this, we did this one day, then this the next. You really like concise, what do we do, X, Y, Z, and it's done. Yeah, so then, like I said, I now work at BIC as a sales support executive. I started this year, and my role is essentially working with one of our sales teams to support them in their roles selling to the clients. I take care of samples, so if the clients need any samples of our products, I can send them out to them. I send over product information, and essentially, I think one of the biggest parts of my role is learning as much as possible from the wealth of knowledge around me. I mean, within my team alone, they've got something like a combined 50 years of experience in sales. And obviously me having 9 months, I'm very fresh to it. So it's a great kind of environment to be learning in. And yeah, a couple of the surprises that I kind of encountered was a culture change. That the companies are very process driven. Whereas when I was in Enactus, sometimes it was very process driven, but other times it was like, oh, we should totally do this for marketing, and then someone else would be like, yeah, let's do it, and you just kind of do it. It's there's no like kind of, and yeah, not really any process behind it. Well, kind of talking to, for example, like I work with Claudia, and I learn a bit about what she does, and kind of get a bit of her knowledge as well. So yeah, that's a big part of my role, just learning. But finally, a big thing that I want to kind of push is what you guys can do now to when you're still at university to kind of improve your employability. The number one thing, and this is whether it's in Enactus or whilst you're doing Enactus outside of that as well, is get involved. The more you have that you can kind of learn, and the more kind of situations and experiences you can expose yourself to, the more you have to talk about to employers, and also the more kind of, you know, attractive you are to employers, because they can see what type of person you are. Again, kind of linked to that is create a LinkedIn profile. You don't need to be posting every day. It's just like it means that you can go to networking events and things like that are then, you can, instead of being like, oh, can I have your card, I'll email you, you could like straight away add them on LinkedIn and start that kind of rapport with them. Another big thing, Enactus, when I was there, I found that I was in it's kind of like a hot pot of talent. There's so many people who are like going to X, Y, and Z company doing this job and that job, and they seem to know exactly what they want to do. Don't feel pressure to know what you want to do. Like, at the end of the day, you're all students, and you're, I'm guessing, early 20s. You're not going to know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you do, you might do, and you're very lucky. But don't feel pressured to do that, and just try out. Like I said, get involved, try different things, see what you enjoy, and then think about if there's a way to do what you enjoy as a career. Because when you enjoy something, you'll be much more efficient, and you'll be much better at your job. I think, yeah, last two things. One is, I'm going to kind of brush over. It was very much like what Laura said, kind of figure out what works for you. I found that getting myself into a routine and making my bed first thing in the morning was actually weirdly a big kind of help, because it kind of you start the day off on a win. You've done something like kind of productive. And tick lists. I just love kind of ticking something off and knowing it's done. I find it very satisfying. And yeah, final thing, create a standout CV. And with you guys already interested in or being a part of Enactus, you're going to have a standout CV. And this, again, everything ties back to getting involved. The more you get involved with Enactus and outside of Enactus, the better. If you can get involved with experience in Enactus, amazing. Put them on your CV. Create a brag folder if that's what you need to do. Like, create a Word document which has like a list of all the cool stuff you've done, and that will help, again, yeah, with applications, because you can kind of go back to that and be like, yeah, I've done this, this, and this, and yeah, that's I think that's everything from me. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much, Laura and Ned. I think that was very interesting, even from my perspective, working with you, finding out a little bit more about yourselves. But we are now open to a Q&A. If you have any questions in the chat, Caroline, let us know.
Yeah, I think Yasmin's just asked Ned if he has a CV template, but what I would recommend, if Ned doesn't, is to contact your university careers service. That is what they're there for. They'll have loads of CV templates for you to use. So if maybe rely on Ned, or 30 of you on the call, that might inundate him, but head to your careers services maybe about that. I've just had one come in through to me. I think maybe they've tick the wrong button when we're direct messaging, but I'll take it nonetheless. But it says, what could I do as a student to impress you if I was coming for an interview? So I'm going to take that to you guys, because I'm sure they don't want to hear from me on that one.
I was just going to quickly address the question from Yasmin as well, that one of the things I would say is that I don't have like a direct email template, CV template, but you want to, if you have the time, and if there's like a few jobs, if you outline 5 or 6 you're really interested in, like form the template around the job. Don't like form your CV around it. If it's in like communications, for example, focus on the bits of Enactus that they would be interested in. That's what I mean by pulling out the information that makes you valuable to the employer, and that will change with every employer. But obviously, if you're trying to churn out like 15 applications or 20 applications a day, it's not realistic to change the CV every time. But that is one thing one tip I would say.
And I think just to add to that, it's really important that you consider that companies receive hundreds of applications. So even if you use a free template from Canva, for example, they've got great ready-made templates for you to fill in. If you're applying for a creative role, make sure your CV looks creative, something that will stand out to your employers. If you're applying, to Ned's point, if you're applying for a very specific role, make sure you tailor it to that specific role and the company. Make sure to always have a look at the company values, so that you're able to talk about them and relate back. It's also important for you that you know what the company stands for, and something that you stand for as well. And in terms,
sorry, Claudia.
No, go on.
I was just going to touch on that and say, I think with the CV, it's always worth, I think it's so easy to sometimes just send a CV off and hope for the best. I've been guilty of doing that before. I think it's definitely worth, if you have the time, to go through like a careers advisor on your campus. I utilize them a lot, and it was actually so helpful, because even they can spot little things that might just make that difference and pinpoint they might make the information pop out a little bit better. So definitely utilize resources that the uni have.
But also something that's more recent is that, referring back to creating a LinkedIn profile, you can apply directly through LinkedIn to different jobs. So definitely something that will help you in terms of efficiency in applying as well. And then going back to the point from Caroline about how you could impress us, I think from my personal experience and perspective is number one thing for me is attitude. So if you come in with a can-do attitude, I mean, you already stand out as being part of Enactus, but your attitude is everything. Even with little experience in a professional work environment, if you come in and you say you can do whatever you're thrown at, if you're being thrown into the deep end and you excel, showing that you're here to learn, that is everything for employers. And attitude is something that is very sought for in the professional world. Do you guys have anything more to add?
I think that's covered it in terms of just come with an open mind, be willing to get involved. We're all very friendly, very outgoing team, so we have lots of things to sort of get involved with. So yeah, I think just be yourself, come with examples of what you've done and what that sort of helped you with, and what the outcome was again. I'm just looking at the other.
I've just seen a quick one in the chat about relocation being part of the role. I think largely it depends what role you join. I know that, for example, I work in sales, but within my team, I'm in the office weekly, which is in London. So I'm in twice a week. But then most of the sales guys are in once every 2 weeks. So they're based kind of all around the country. So it largely depends on the role you're applying to. But yeah, it's not kind of a one size fits all policy.
Absolutely. And with the global opportunities, it depends. I think to get the full experience, I would probably advise considering relocation. However, in the more senior positions, we have people across the world working with the UK or for the UK. So it really depends. I guess sales is a bit more flexible, and especially in the changing environment of hybrid models of work, we as BIC also offer more flexible contracts as well.
In terms of because I've seen the question about is travel required? Again, this comes back to what your role is. So I'm obviously in the marketing department. If we need to go and meet sort of an agency, then we can do that, but it's fairly like local, London, potentially Manchester, but haven't yet done that. Or I'm off to Ireland in 2 weeks to visit the Irish team. So it's not been a massive part so far for me. I think that's predominantly due to the fact that we've been in a pandemic. But yeah, travel's not a massive part of my role. I think for sales, obviously, if you're working in sales, you'll need to go to customers, so that's a little bit more regular than myself.
I've seen a couple of questions pop up about what types of roles, like what is available. I think this I would refer back to the link that I've shared in the presentation, which will be shared with you also. I highly encourage you having a look at the BIC Careers website. We have roles across the globe, really, in various different positions that it'd be very hard for me to remember all of them, but I would highly encourage you to have a look through those, as well as applying for the talent pool to then be notified of new roles that pop up in the future for you. Anything else?
Brill, thank you. I think one of the other questions that I can see that has come up is just what is the best project that you've been part of in your role? So I don't know if who wants to take that first?
I mean, I'm happy to take it. So maybe I'll start with what my role at BIC is. So I'm a category manager. Some of you may not know what it is. I definitely didn't about 5 years ago before I fell into it. Category management is essentially working as a link between sales and marketing and providing insights, market information, trying to help the team sell into customers, as well as helping retailers drive sales through whatever insight I provide. So it's essentially like a support role between sales and marketing, and analysing a load of data. But also there is a creative side to it. So I get to produce impactful looking PowerPoint presentations, or also within my role, well, slightly outside of the scope, is leading up the Enactus UK partnership. And I think in the last year or so, I would say this is the best project that I've been involved in, slightly outside of my scope of role, because it is the most rewarding. I think when I was a student at university, I wasn't fully aware of the Enactus opportunities, and I really wish I was, because I can see how amazing each and every one of the Enactus students is. I've been part of the BIC mentor team, mentoring the students, and I mean, the amount of knowledge, you are already way ahead of those who aren't part of Enactus. And I think it's been the most rewarding getting feedback and hearing how much I was able to impact either the project or help the individuals. So I find that very satisfying, and the greatest project that I've been part of so far. But again, within my my role, everyday job. I think it's being able to influence business decisions and also retailer decisions is a big part of what I do, and I absolutely love it.
Thank you. I can see we're running really close to time, so maybe we've got time for one more question. And Francesca's just asked, you mentioned something about creative initiative, Claudia. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to assume that you are referring to the BIC Corporate Foundation shift of focus to the creative side. So essentially, as I mentioned earlier, creativity is a big part of creating resilience, a big part that is very much needed in the everyday world to help us drive, well, business forward, ourselves forward. And like I said, essentially, it shows itself in variety of different forms. So I'll give you an example. For me, in my everyday work, I need to create insight in order to help the team, I don't know, sell a product to a customer, for example. Sometimes I don't have all the data available to me, so I use my creative side of brain to think of a story or a way to overcome this problem and help the team in another way. So again, it shows itself in various different things. And in a couple of weeks time, we are hosting a roundtable Q&A with a few of the BIC business leaders, so very senior positions in the business, who will host Q&As with the Enactus students and answer questions all around how creativity helps them in their everyday role and how it's helped them to get to where they are into the really senior leadership positions. So hopefully if you attend, that could really help answer that question a lot better than what I can do right now.
No, I think that was a good go. But yeah, please do keep an eye out on the Enactus website and our social media channels, because we will be announcing that roundtable discussion really, really shortly. And it's a fantastic opportunity to network with some really senior leaders at BIC. And like Claudia said, it's a great way to understand how they approach maybe problem solving with that creative initiative and how they utilize that every day. But for now, that is all that we've got time for. But I would just like to say a huge thank you to Laura, Ned and Claudia for a brilliant presentation and a great insight into how you as Enactus students can sell and market your experience when you enter the world of work. But for now, thank you so much for joining us.